all going through an evolutionary leap here, and that's really what the big part of the process is for me, in understanding the big picture, and understanding the game, who we are, what's going on, why is this all happening to us right now. Man, it is very exciting. It's a very intense time to be alive. So again, you can be made whole and pure within yourself, and it starts just in the moment. It starts with inner silence, peaceful meditation, going within, being quiet, being a good steward of your own energy and your resources. This is really how we get where we need to go. And Audio says, get enlightened, it's not that hard. Stop living in hope and angst. What's new? When will disclosure be? Soon. Yeah, we got some disclosure news coming up here. That's one of the things we're talking about. The divine plan is the ultimate truth. So we do have an ultimate truth that we're all moving through right now. There is a plan for the world, for our planet. And I believe that there is a lot of very interesting things happening in that front, disclosure being one of them. So yes, I'm going to show you in the upcoming minutes here some of the news about this week's disclosure, how this is all happening. And it's really glorious. But again, our divine plan is the ultimate truth. That's very important. All roads do lead back to the one. Don't forget that either. There is only one universal identity. And that is the one infinite creator. So as I've said before, we are all being steered and guided by an intelligence. And that's so important when we're going, what we're going to talk about, we need to keep that in mind, that we're not alone. The intelligence is guiding us. We're not going to just be laid to waste here. The planet is going to be preserved. And, individuals may come and go, but the planet itself, I think, is going to be fine. We're very well protected. We have allies. And remember what these higher beings have done. It's part of the big disclosure news, really, is how these various extraterrestrial beings have prevented nuclear war. They've prevented exchanges of horrible things happening that would bring us about. Even recently, we looked at the idea that where these B-2s were taking off, that there were these drone sightings over there. So look, these higher forces are not going to let us get into too much trouble. Some trouble could happen. I get that. But, Beverly Adams says, I'm late, but I'm here. Love you all. Thank you for being here, Beverly. Anyway, we're at a good time to be alive, good time to be here. And we're 32 minutes in. We've now got 1,800 viewers watching, a little bit below where we've been previous weeks. But again, I'm popping this on you in the last minute, and you guys still show up for me, so I really appreciate that. So without our higher consciousness, we would be lost, and we want to remember that. We want to remember that there is only one universal identity that we all share, and that our lives are calls to mystical greatness. We are not meant to just spin our wheels in the mud and not know where we're going or what's going on. We are being called to a much higher plane of existence where everybody on Earth apparently goes through some type of transformation. And this comes a lot of times through difficulty and pain, and deep inner seeking, deep inner solitude can get you there, but it's also through initiation. There are difficult events happening on the Earth. We get thrown into them. We have to figure out what we're doing. How do we want to live our lives? What is the objective of what we want to get out of life? And that is powerful stuff. It doesn't come easily. We have a lot of challenges that come our way, and we got to just be resolute in our dedication that this is who we are. We're here for a purpose. We're here for a higher calling, and we're going to make that higher calling manifest on Earth as it is in heaven. Love always wins out over great darkness. That's another beautiful one. Remembering that love is the essence of the universe, and right now there are all these attacks against you trying to keep you from having a loving state of mind, from a loving consciousness. And so I want you to be able to step back from that, and I want you to be able to recognize that love is the essence of the universe, and I want you to focus on that every day. Focus on loving yourself, focus on gratitude, focus on joy and peace, however you can. And if you have to tune out the news, that's okay. I spend a lot of time focusing on it. It can be very upsetting, but it's also my job to stay tuned into events. And I also recognize that darkness does enable us to see the light. By examining these things fearlessly, by looking at what's going on, we come to a greater unified whole. And there's some great disclosure stuff going on. In fact, this coming week, we might be getting a big announcement. The disclosure might be about to happen as of April 14th if Representative Anna Paulina Luna's deadline is right. So that's very, very exciting. And anyway, I just got a couple more of these and then we'll get into the news. But positive consciousness leads to enlightenment. That's one of the things that all these great ageless wisdom teachings tell us, is that when you focus on the positive, when you focus on being loving, this creates enlightenment. This creates this state where you break through the hologram. You see reality for what it really is. You are awakened to a greater truth that is above and beyond all of us. And yeah, we're integrated with it to some degree. We're a part of it, but it's not defined by us. It's defined by something much greater than we are. And we're just living out our lives here on earth without knowing all of the secrets at all. Where confusion is inherent in third density. And we got to recognize that the Creator might be a lot bigger than we think. There could be a lot more going on to all this than just what we've been told. And therefore, we have to be resolute in our dedication that we're going to focus on looking at what we don't know. And that's also on a planetary level as well as a galactic and universal level. We don't really know what this is about. We don't really know why they're doing this. And again, I don't want to rubber stamp it, but there could be much greater initiatives in play. I don't think we would have gone into this thing haphazardly. I think there's a reason behind all of it. And that's at least what makes me comfortable to believe that. So your imperfections make you a unique individual. This is another really important thing. We have a lot of imperfections in the world right now. There's a lot of things going on that seem very dire and very sad and scary. But this is what gives us our own unique hologram in space and time right now. Why are we in this? What is going on? How are we going to get through this? These are the big questions that I want you to be asking. And so in your own life, when you have imperfections, those are what actually make you a unique individual and bring you beyond your own limitations. So embrace those and embrace your character as it is. You don't have to be stuck in that. You can move beyond your limitations, move beyond your imperfections, and see the glory and the beauty that you actually do possess. And that's such a wonderful thing when we can do that as a race, as a species, do that together as a human race. So this is another one I thought of that I'd share with you today. You came from what is, not what isn't. And that's kind of a koan, like a paradoxical statement. But what does this mean? This means that the universe was created. Something had to have created it. And therefore, you didn't come from nothing. You came from something. And that something, all great teachings continue to assure us that something is a loving, infinite mind. And so you came from what is, not what isn't. You came from this loving consciousness. And we are going to be preserved no matter what happens to us. Everything works out for the good in the end. And you will return to what always is and has been. There is no loss in the universe. There is no death. So therefore, you don't need to fear death because it's something that just transitions us into another realm of existence. There is no loss. And they try to play on that, don't they? I mean, the negative forces try so hard to play on, the fear, the negativity. Oh, good, we're almost up to 2,000 viewers now. That makes me feel great. Thank you guys for showing up. And I guess it's all fine and good that we're doing that. Jay Bo says you should do a science teaching on how everything works better using base 3 math. Well, I'll talk a little bit about it since you requested it. I mean, the basic idea is that when you use base 3 and you start doing various, constants like pi and Fibonacci and other things, they become integers. They no longer have endlessly repeating decimal points on them. Like pi is 3.14159, da da da. Well, this really gets back to the Penrose tiling, the geometry, this idea like what we've said before, the Star of David, and how there's always 3 points that come together as an intersection. The universe itself is made of geometry, and therefore, when you understand the geometric nature of the universe, the best counting system you could have is a system based on 3 because it integrates better with the geometry, and it turns out that these natural constants actually integrate better with the geometry as well. So that's just how it works. I mean, that's just the nature of the cosmos. Patty Sklodowski says, I'm grateful you're guiding us through affirmations and prayers, calming anxiety and fear. You're a very special, loving person doing this every week. Love and light to all. And yet we've got 2,000 people now, so I feel good about that. We're over the 2,000 mark. At the 40-minute mark, that is awesome. So you will return to what always is and has been. Don't forget that. You can connect with your own higher consciousness, and this is the seat of your creativity. Creativity really arises from our own connection with the divine. That's why we tend to become so enamored with artists and musicians and creative people, because they're harnessing this universal force that is so much bigger than we are. And we think of that as something that's just so awe-inspiring and wonderful and beyond our own capacity. Well, the more that you can get in touch with your own higher self, the more creative you will become, the more your creativity becomes a living part of your life and your soul, and that's a good thing. So you want to harness your creativity and embrace your creativity. And again, we're dealing in a very chaotic environment. We're dealing in a very chaotic situation right now. So we also are always looking for the patterns in the chaos. We want to see, okay, is there a reason for all of this? Is there a reason for this horrifying situation that we're now in? Or are we just spinning our wheels in the mud, and is there no greater purpose for this? Well, again, I believe that there is a greater purpose, that there is something that's going to lead to a more organized and peaceful world in the future, and not just doom and gloom. So, again, you may not be able to see that at all, but I want to at least give you the opportunity to consider the possibility. That's all we're going to do right now. And we want you to explore those unanswered questions. Let's try to figure out what's the real meat behind the story here, and how do we get into that. And again, do not settle for the predetermined answers. Where, it's all too easy to just be spoon-fed information by the media, by authorities, and say, oh, okay, I get what's going on. And we're in such a polarizing environment right now between both sides of the political aisle, and then even within these political ideologies themselves. We've got so much contention going on, so much strife and fault-finding, and I can't encourage us enough to try to get along with each other. And therefore, definitely it's an upsetting situation. Definitely there's things that people don't like. I get that. Let's try to focus on what good can come out of this for all of humanity, if there is something, and I believe there is. Bonnie Demlong donated. Thank you very much for that. She donated $20. She's been here for a long time, long-term supporter. She says, thanks for being you. And we're doing pretty good here. So keep those donations coming. We love that. It's very important that we have them. And so, again, we're very, that's true. FYI, if you put too many emojis up, it gets held for review automatically by the algorithm. So if you do that, the algorithm is going to snag you. For whatever reason, that's another thing that it does, just so that you're aware. So anyway, we're going to, it's all good stuff. And time and space are not merely definitions of who and what we are. They are the boundaries of the cosmos, of what we really represent. And that means so much. We're able to take stock of who we are and what's really going on. Yes, hit the like button, spread the good vibes, and we're getting through this together. So it's a positive. I really do hope that we can focus on the positive and focus on what is good. Let's ask ourselves another cosmic question. What could be created without a creator? We're talking about the higher consciousness, talking about the universe and how it made us. Could there have been any of this material reality without the creator? No, there could not. If somebody put something into a box, if there are items inside a box, somebody had to put them in the box, or they had to get in there somehow. So that's the basic idea of the creator again. Beverly Adams, thank you, David, for keeping us sane for decades. Even if you went away from time to time, we had your books and your work to keep us going. The feeling of spiritual connection has never ceased. I appreciate that, Beverly, very much. Yep, and we're going to talk about missing contractors a little bit later. But anyway, it's all good. So what could be created without creator? Nothing. The creator is the totality of the universe. And this is, again, a cosmic conception, a cosmic reality that we can tune into as we recognize, yeah, there is a galactic and a cosmic beingness to the universe that we all share. We're all a part of that, and it's wonderful. And it has very deep resonance for us in every way. We are not alone. We are made in the image of a higher consciousness, and it's beautiful. You also manifest the reality that your thoughts create. This is the great lesson of the Buddha. It's the great lesson of the Seth books by Jane Roberts and many other sources. You create your own reality is a very important principle. So you want to have your thoughts beyond the positive as much as you can. I know it's not always easy, but that's what I'd like you to do. And so, again, we have to create that positivity here on earth for ourselves. And one of the ways we can do that is to pray that these negotiations that are going on right now will create peace. So I want to give you an update on that in part, because that's part of what's going on right now and part of the scenario. Because we do really pray that these negotiations will create peace, because many people are developing something called learned helplessness. They're just numbing out. They're not paying attention to the news anymore, and they just say, oh my gosh, everything is going to go away, everything's going to blow up. It's terrifying, it's awful. Well, I wouldn't encourage you to go there. I would encourage you to try to focus on the positive, keep an expanded perspective, use your mind as it's made for to explore consciousness, to give you new perspectives, and to not get mired in the negativity that so many people are stuck in right now, because it's very scary. I would also say it's important to understand your strengths and weaknesses. Recognize where you're not strong. Recognize where you have, idiosyncrasies and difficulties with how you live your life. And, we're going to be okay, but it takes a long time to get to that point. And it's going to be a big journey to get there. We don't do this automatically. We don't do this overnight. It's going to take time. You pay attention to the news, says Mr. Disclose Seeker. There's no doubt it's a definition of where you are on an unhealthy path. Look, how could it be unhealthy to focus on the news? I mean, we have to be aware of what's going on in the world, because if not, then you're leaving yourself to the whims of fate. I don't think it's wise to ignore the news. I think it's a good thing to approach reality. You got to face things. You got to face reality, take it head on, and not be afraid of it. That's a very important point. Paul implies that the universe is the creator. Yes, I would agree. People need to grow a thicker skin, believe in God. God is telling us not to worry. God is our protector. It's a great way to live, says Gizmo's mom. Yes, I totally agree. So anyway, I think we're going to take care of that one too. Anyway, there's a lot of things going on that I think are very positive, and so we're going to be okay, but we just have to focus on our own plan and how we get there. And being alive and being in the now is a very important step for us to get clear with what we really are, how we're really going through the universe, and how we get to the next level. These are very important steps. And I think you are all overthinking this. It had to happen. Well, yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, this is something that's really changing, and we're all having to go through this. So yes, I do pay attention to the news. I do think it's important. I do think we need to do that, and it's better that we do than if we don't pay attention to it. Okay, so this is a collective initiation, and given this crop circle prophecy and all the connections that it has, I suggest that this is the big one. We are not just going through just another war on the path. I think that with disclosure coming up, and I think that with what the crop circle actually shows us, that we're heading into very, very major changes, very, very major transfigurations of the planet. And, it's going to be something very powerful, very profound. And, we are all living through this in real time. We're living in a movie. And the movie is scary, but the movie is showing us some very intense stuff as well. So yes, I don't think this is just any old ordinary moment in time. I do believe that this is the big one. This is what we're going through. Life is not going to stay like this forever. And so because it's a difficult moment, this is a great time for us to be grateful for what we do have. We want to focus on the glory of what we do have and how we can be more realized in our happiness and in our knowingness that we're going to be okay, not getting stuck down at the bottom, but raising up from the bottom. We want to raise the bottom. That's a basic principle of recovery too. And I'm completely clean and sober. It's not easy, but you want to raise the bottom. You don't want to hit bottom. You want to be able to go above that and find a way to get out before you hit the bottom. That's a very, very important point. So being grateful for what we do have, very, very critical. And also to remember that stressful events do cause us to access our own cosmic consciousness. These events are gateways to opening up our higher intuition, our higher abilities, and getting us to the point where we have something that's very positive that comes out of all this. So anyway, it's a good thing, and I'm certainly not averse to focusing on cosmic consciousness. The stress activates your own higher centers, and it causes, very intense realizations to occur. Higher dimensional civilizations combining geometry, light, and frequency, says Rob Hipsky. Yes, I would agree with that too. Not marketing. I've gotten back in touch with culture and arts. The news cycle has us whirling like dervishes. Getting my food gardens in order this week. Do not lose yourself. Yep, and Christian Olive says, at this point I'm open to anything you can tell us. Crop circles never made sense to me, but I want to try them. So anyway, it's all good, and I'm happy that you guys are here. So another thing we can talk about, the stressful events activating cosmic consciousness, gets into a discussion I had with my friend Jude, which is regarding the difference between dialectic and paradox. And yes, so if he's out there, he can leave a comment right now. I don't know if he is watching live or not. But anyway, we had this discussion, which is both dialectic and paradox refer to thought issues, thought problems, contemplative issues where two things are true at the same time. In a dialectic, the two things that are true at the same time come into resolution through being in conflict with each other. Whereas in paradox, they come into resolution through synergizing with each other. And we do both. So a paradox is two like ideas that come together through synergy. So two conflicting ideas that are both true, but come in through synergy. So idea number one would be, I love myself. Idea number two would be, I hate it when I do that. So then in synergy, you would say, I love myself and I hate it when I do that, and that's okay. I can love myself for both things. Whereas with dialectic, you have a conflict between the two ideas, and then through that conflict comes synergy. Now, this is where the negative can open up if you're not careful, because like the Hegelian dialectic, order out of chaos, is part of the working principle of the negative side. How the negative likes to do things. It likes to create order out of chaos. And so, again, but there are ways in which the conflict of true concepts leads to a higher concept. In a war, both sides believe that their ideas are true, but they're coming into conflict, and then there's a greater synergy that results from that. And so we're hoping that these warring sides can come into some type of, synergistic union with each other. We're hoping that this can be a positive. So Rob Hipsky says, awesome psychology. Thank you. Project Skyfall, thank you for the great information. Well, I'm happy to do it. The most important thing for all of us is to stay centered and focused and grounded in our positivity. This is really the key. Both the dialectic and paradox factors are in play at this time. And we also have great symbolism. I mean, we just had the Artemis astronauts splash down into the Pacific Ocean. This is something that just happened this past week. And again, those humans, at least from our perspective of the normal world, they went farther into space than anybody ever has as human beings leaving the Earth. So it's interesting that all this is happening right around the time of Christmas, right around the time of these great astronomical alignments, that this is all going on. And so to me, this symbolizes ascension. It symbolizes us pushing the boundaries, going farther than we ever could before. And at the same time, we have these very, very scary things happening on Earth. And so it's a challenge for us to expand our own boundaries. Can we get out of the fear bubble and get into a greater level of truth? And I think we can. So that's my perspective here. And so now what we're going to do is talk about some of the things that could happen, because the news is pretty wild. So on Friday, we saw that the military is in position and that the ships are being loaded up. So the leader is saying that the Strait will enter a new management phase. Everyone should know this. But again, the military is prepared. So we're always having this kind of grist for the mill, this stuff in the background, that the outcome will be clear in about 24 hours. And again, there's going to be more talks. This is another thing that's very important I want to share with you, is that there's going to be more talks. It's not just immediately going to turn into chaos. And hopefully the next round of negotiations will work. But this is what we heard before. We're going to find out in about 24 hours. We're going to know soon, he told the Post on Friday. And then he also says we have a reset going, which is very interesting. We're going to talk about what that actually means a little bit later. We're loading up the ships with the best ammo and everything ever made, even at a higher level than we would have done for this complete thing. And if we don't have a deal, we will be using them and using them very effectively. So yeah, that's, panic at your leisure. And, I hope that that's not going to have to happen, because again, they've promised that they're going to do their counterstrikes. They're going to hit back hard. It could get very, very intense. Some of the other stuff out there that's really freakish is people asking the question, is this merely a delay tactic? Because that was already announced once before, that they weren't really serious about the negotiation. I don't think so, but I wanted to talk about this. As the direct talks are set for Saturday morning, there's been an avalanche of speculation that the ceasefire could be cover for a greater buildup and bigger impending operation. So I'm so sorry, I didn't have it on the slide. There we go. Let's go back to that. Sorry, everybody. How far back slides, please. Yep, okay, so we're going to do that now. We're going to get back to the slides, and just in case you didn't see these, I want to make sure that you do. Not seeing the slides. Yep, that's my bad. I screwed up, but we're going to do it now. Anyway, sorry about that. But now let's go through those slides again so you can see them. I'm sorry I missed out on that. Here we go. So they are in position. He's preparing the military if they fail to comply, loading up the ships. The leaders claiming the Strait will enter a new management phase. So then it goes to this. The outcome will be clear in about 24 hours, he said. We're going to find out about it in 24 hours. We're going to know soon. He told the Post on Friday. And then, again, it says we have a reset going. That's very interesting. We're loading up the ships with the best things ever made, even at a higher level than we would normally have done for a complete process. And if we don't have a deal, we will be using them and using them very effectively. So, yeah, I mean, some people are going to be really upset by this type of rhetoric, by this type of talk. I get that. And, it's a very intense time when you hear these kinds of things being said. There's a lot of these types of provocative statements going out there. And I understand that it can really be frustrating, and I understand that it can be upsetting. But I just want to show you, again, what's the hologram, what's going on in the world today. And then the next set of slides that we missed, and now I'm making it up to you. Sorry about that. Are they merely a delay tactic? Speculation is surging that this could be a delay tactic ahead of expanded action. As I said before, I don't think this is what's going on, but this is part of the news that's out there right now circulating around. As direct talks are set for this Saturday morning, there's been an avalanche of speculation that the ceasefire may only be a cover for a greater buildup and bigger impending operation. And then we got to this one where this tweet says, case in point, more than 70 transport planes landed within 24 hours of it taking effect. That suggests possible preparation for even something on the ground, solidifying speculation that there may be a regrouping going on. That's very intense. And then at the bottom, it says that this truce proposal seems awfully similar to the Minsk agreement trap that ultimately fueled this larger conflict over there. Just as they used that to regroup and do these other things, this proposal may be the same. And again, I got to be careful about